the case of Ahmaud Arbery down in Georgia. This is a case where I'm not sure why the prosecutors are dragging their feet in filing charges in this particular case. But let's talk about it and see maybe if there's some reason why we can explain the delay in bringing of charges. So Ahmaud Arbery, by everyone's accounts, was a runner. He likes to run in his spare time. By all accounts, Mr. Arbery spent much of his spare time running for exercise in the city of Brunswick in Glynn County, Georgia. This is down on the southeast coast near Savannah. And that was the case on February 23rd when Mr. Arbery was spotted jogging through the neighborhood of Gregory McMichael. Now, Mr. McMichael apparently believed that Arbery looked like a suspect in a spat of recent break-ins, according to a police report published by the New York Times. The problem with that story is there's only apparently been one burglary reported in Glynn County in the Satilla Shores neighborhood between January 1 and February 23rd, and it involved a pistol taken from a pickup truck outside of Travis McMichael's home in Brunswick. Now, Mr. McMichael, 64, called his son Travis McMichael, 34, and they armed themselves with a handgun and a shotgun. They then chased Arbery in a truck, according to the report, and Gregory McMichael told police that he shouted to Arbery to stop, we want to talk to you, according to their statements when they pulled up beside him in their pickup truck. There also may have been a third person involved in this pursuit. Travis McMichael stepped out of the truck with his shotgun, and that's when Gregory McMichael alleged that Arbery attacked Travis McMichael and they began fighting over the shotgun, according to the police report. Now, Travis McMichael fired twice, according to the police. Arbery then fell down on the pavement and died of his wounds. Now, a video has surfaced of this encounter, and I cannot imagine why charges have not been filed in this particular case. Well, the district attorney says that he expects to present this case to the grand jury for consideration of criminal charges. He states that he's been unable to convene a grand jury due to the COVID-19 pandemic. No arrests were made from February 20th until May 7th of 2020. Now, 2 local prosecutors recused themselves from the case due to Gregory McMichael's connections to their office. The second district attorney to handle this case was George Barnhill. And he wrote a memo about the case before recusing himself in April of 2020. The recusal came after Arbery's mother argued that Barnhill had a conflict of interest because Barnhill's son, like Gregory McMichael, previously worked for the Brunswick district attorney. Now, Barnhill wrote that McMichaels were in their right to chase, quote, a burglary suspect, end quote. Barnhill claimed that Arbery initiated the fight and that Travis McMichael was allowed to use deadly force to protect himself when Arbery grabbed the shotgun. Barnhill wrote that Arbery had mental health issues and past prior convictions, which helped explain his apparent aggressive nature and his possible thought pattern to attack an armed man. Barnhill argued that Arbery might have caused the shotgun to fire by struggling over it, and he recommended that no arrests be made. Obviously, District Attorney George Barnhill had not reviewed the video, which clearly shows that Mr. Travis McMichael was the one who approached a man running along the side of the road. So the District Attorney Barnhill basically was saying that the McMichaels were completely justified and that basically Mr. Arbery basically deserved what he had coming because obviously he was the initial aggressor. Well, let's take a look at the criminal code as it relates for a citizen arrest by a private person. And that would be found at the Georgia Code at 17-4-60. It says, a private person may arrest an offender if the offense is committed in his presence or with his immediate knowledge. If the offense is a felony and the offender is escaping or attempting to escape, a private person may arrest him upon reasonable and probable grounds of suspicion. Now, what do we know? Why is that important? When the 911 calls came in, this individual was running away. No one had witnessed Mr. Arbery doing anything criminal in nature. Additionally, we know that neither one of the McMichaels would have seen this individual committing any crime, which is a prerequisite for anybody to actually claim under the Georgia citizens arrest statute that they could actually participate. That's like if you see somebody grab an old lady's purse and you want to be the hero and you run and you grab it and you tackle the individual. That's the kind of situation where you could do that. It doesn't mean if you think somebody is running through your neighborhood and you think that they may have done something, you suspect they may have done something, even if it was 53 days ago, that does not give anyone under Georgia's statute the right to get an armed posse together and go and confront and stop somebody, let alone be armed and get out and stop somebody saying, we want to talk to you. This looked like a scene from a movie in the civil rights era in the early 60s. Are you kidding me? The police were on the way. They could have easily stopped Mr. Arbery and said, what are you doing here? And he says, I'm running like I do for exercise. These two father-son duo took it upon themselves, thinking they were going to be some sort of superhero. And the problem with somebody trying to make a citizen's arrest is, what if you're wrong? When you decide to take matters into your own hands, you face the exposure if you got it wrong. Now, District Attorney Barnhill also stated that these people were justified in having the firearms because it was an open carry state in the state of Georgia. Now, no one is going to defend the Second Amendment more than this guy. Frankly, I'll defend all of the constitutional amendments to the bitter end. And yes, these people had a right to have their guns on them. But as I have explained to many people, not only on this show before, but previously counseled clients all the time, you will find no one that enjoys or appreciates the Second Amendment more than I do. But what I always tell the clients is that they complicate everything. And before you use that firearm, you need to be able to explain to a jury that you exercised complete restraint and it was a last resort. Regardless of some very poorly written laws and jury instructions, you do not have the right to go up and start trying to be aggressive and manhandle somebody and hold them at gunpoint unless you've actually witnessed a crime. It's there for your own self-protection. But if you are the initial aggressor, you have to retreat normally before you can use deadly force. There doesn't look like there was any retreat whatsoever here by Travis McMichael. And frankly, if somebody points a loaded gun at you, I think, and you've done nothing wrong, you have a right to push it away or try to get the hell out of there. So what we do know is that the McMichaels had a firearm stolen from their truck 53 days prior to this incident with Mr. Arbery where he wound up dead. They did not see anyone committing a crime. The 911 call shows that people were calling regarding a black man running through the neighborhood. A black man running through a neighborhood, minding his own business, is not reasonable suspicion or probable cause, and it certainly does not justify a citizen's arrest under the Georgia arrest by private person statute. These people could have called the police. If they thought that this was the person that they were looking for, they could have driven next to him and waited for the police to arrive. They're the ones that stopped the vehicle, blocked Mr. Arbery's path, told him they wanted to speak with him, got out with a loaded shotgun, and engaged in a confrontation with Mr. Arbery. The real crime here, on top of the murder of Ahmaud Arbery, is District Attorney George Barnhill. Emails need to be subpoenaed by the investigators, and his analysis needs to be looked at immensely. And since he's an elected district attorney, his citizens may want to consider voting him out of office when the next election comes by, and maybe let him know it's not 1961 in the South anymore. We're going to follow this case. And yesterday I said, why has nobody been arrested? And the district attorneys tried to make some lame excuse. Well, we can't convene a grand jury. Well, guess what? The Georgia Bureau of Investigation and the Attorney General's office looked at this, and they made the arrest immediately. District Attorney Barnhill should be embarrassed and ashamed of himself and should probably resign for the investigation that he conducted. And another interesting question that would have to be asked was, where was this video? Did Mr. Barnhill have access to it? Did he look at it? Did he think that this was exculpatory evidence as it related to the McMichaels? If he thought that was exculpatory evidence, we may want to go back and look at all the cases that he's been prosecuting over the years. And for the people out there that basically wanted to say, oh, Gregory McMichael's a police officer, cut him a break, Travis McMichael, he was just out there doing his citizen's duty. No. These guys overreacted. They're being overzealous, and now they should have to pay the consequences for getting it wrong.